We talk about being open-minded, but what does it really mean in terms of our behavior? What I want to do is walk through 3 behaviors that you can exhibit that help you show up with an open mind. A lot of the times we think about this idea of open-mindedness, and we either believe that we embody or don't embody that idea of open-mindedness. What we're talking about today is not about are you or are you not open-minded. It's about are you practicing or not practicing the behaviors that help you show up with an open mind. So the first behavior that I want you to exhibit when you want to show up with an open mind is I want you to seek to understand. I want you to seek to understand. This doesn't mean that you have to change your mind. This doesn't mean that you have to change anything. What it means is that you are attempting to understand someone else's perspective. What it means is that you are doing so without judgment and without criticism. That you are pausing whatever is going on in your head. You are pausing your narrative. You're pausing the story you want to tell. You're pausing the directive you want to give, and you are seeking to understand the other person. Number 2, the second behavior to help you show up with an open mind is to ask questions. Ask a ton of questions. Right? This goes hand in hand with the first one. It helps you understand. By asking questions, we learn and our perspective is expanded. Again, this doesn't mean you have to do anything different. This doesn't mean you have to think about anything differently. But what it does mean is that you might want to. And then the third behavior that I want you to exhibit if you are working to show up with an open mind is that I want you to choose empathy over anger. I want you to choose empathy over anger. It is so easy to tell ourselves stories about people. And when we make assumptions or tell ourselves stories about people, we almost always do it in a way that makes them the bad guy and makes us the good guy. What I want you to do is I want you to shift that narrative. I want when you are making a judgment about someone, when you're making an assumption about someone, I want you to just step into their shoes and see it from their perspective and tell yourself, what could possibly be the truth here, right? If someone cut you off in traffic, yeah, maybe they're being a jerk, but maybe they're rushing to the hospital and not paying attention to anyone else because they have to go say goodbye to a loved one. Did your coworker not get back to you on that email that you've been hounding them about? They might not realize that they've been putting a fire on your plate. They might not realize the impact that that has on you. And they might be overwhelmed and trying really hard to prioritize their own stuff. Right? Did your spouse walk in the door and snap at you? Well, maybe it's time to ask them how their day was. Maybe the meeting they had didn't go as planned. Maybe they got some rough news. Maybe they just need 5 minutes to themselves to recharge before they interact and show up the way you want them to, right? So we make these assumptions about people all the time. How do we hit pause and how do we choose empathy over that frustration, over that anger? So those are the 3 behaviors that I want you to exhibit if you're working to show up with an open mind. 1, I want you to seek to understand. 2, I want you to ask questions. And 3, I want you to choose empathy over anger.